She is a lady on the move. Her ambition is to have a home of her own. But for Carol Oyola, that aspiration seems to remain just a dream. And the reason?
Because the property prices have shot across the roof. As in they've just blown up. And it's really hard right now to own a property in Nairobi.
But we do have commercial banks that are willing to support you financially through mortgages.
And then the interest rates are way too high.
But Oyola isn't the only one grappling with the issue of prohibitive home and development loans.
I think I can even count maybe 2 to 3 colleagues who've managed to buy a home and they're willing to pay that mortgage because their salary or their income allows them to.
But her frustration and that of many others like her could be a thing of the past if the government makes good plans to establish a national housing fund.
The government is in it. We also are looking into how we can use the pension funds, because that is money which is provided for by the common mwananchi, so that money needs to be useful to them. So we are working out legislation on how we can access the pension funds, and also working with the SACCO movement so that we can pool money.
The Housing Principal Secretary says the fund will not only be used to establish social housing for the low-income earners, but will equally be lent out to willing borrowers at competitive rates.
It should not be as expensive as the banking sector, because this is funding which is supposed to support the people who are contributing towards it. Yeah, because NHIF, most of, not NHIF, NSSF, most of contributors are actually the lower cadres of society. So why shouldn't they benefit from the money that they've already put aside?
But this provision, which is stipulated in the National Housing Policy currently under revision, has got experts worried. Some of them argue the government lacks capacity to run such a fund, given that the National Housing Corporation, which equals a housing fund, has failed to achieve its mandate. But asked whether such a fund would be helpful, Oyola remains optimistic.
I would give it a chance, but it would of course mean me scaling the market and seeing will it work for me in terms of what the properties that I'm interested in, can they fit into my budget.
Those planned steps will equally see housing developments pushed out of the traditional urban areas, most of which are congested and overpriced.
Because it's not just the government that needs to come in, even people needs to be facilitated to start contributing towards provision for housing. And once you have the National Housing Fund, there is an entry also for the government to come in and subsidize that so that we can have the social housing in place.
The policy framework is just a step in the housing journey of thousands of miles. Making it legally operational is what counts. The government's plan is to have the policy in place by the end of the current financial year. Patrick, Igunza, Property Insight.